Game 7 of the NBA Finals. 20 seconds left on the clock. The Chicago Storm are down by 1. 20 million people are watching, their hearts in their throats. The ball is in the hands of the league's MVP, Marcus Apex Thorne, but he's suffocating. The New York Sentinels have him double-teamed, a perfect trap. He looks to his coach, Coach Greg, the architect. Donovan is standing on the sideline, his face pale. His entire legacy is crumbling. He is the greatest basketball mind of his generation, a man with 5 championships, a man who built a perfect data-driven system called the algorithm. And in this moment, his perfect system is broken. His MVP is trapped. His whiteboard is useless. He has no answers. In pure, cold panic, his eyes scan the bench. He looks past his star players, past his reliable veterans, all the way to the 12th man at the end of the bench. A young man who hasn't played a single minute in the finals. A player he despises. A player he publicly called a marketing gimmick. Luis Lolo Reyes, the Filipino import. Luis isn't looking at the ground. He isn't sweating. He's watching the chaos on the floor with a small, knowing smile. And in that 1 second, a terrifying thought hits Coach Donovan. What if the one man who can save him is the one man he never even respected? To understand how this moment is about to humble the greatest coach on earth, you have to go back. You have to understand why Donovan hated him. Greg Donovan believed basketball was a science, a math problem to be solved. His algorithm was a series of precise plays, of perfect geometric spacing, of data points and percentages. There was no room for improvisation, no room for emotion, and no room for what Filipinos called Puso. Puso, Donovan had said in a now infamous press conference, is just a word for reckless. It's streetball. It's flashy garbage. It's undisciplined. It's why they lose. You don't win championships with Puso. You win with data. And Luis Reyes was 100% Puso. He had been found by a scout not in a top college, but in a dusty, chaotic Ligang Labas, local league, in Manila, where the rules were few, and Diskarte, craftiness, was everything. This is the story of a man who believed in a perfect system, and the Filipino kid who was about to prove that a broken, chaotic, beautiful heart was even better. This is the story of how a coach's entire legacy was saved by the one player he thought was worthless. When the Chicago Storm signed Luis Reyes, the sports world was confused. The front office called it opening a new market, a way to sell jerseys in the Philippines. Coach Donovan called it a headache. From the very first day of training camp, the two men clashed. Donovan would hand Luis a playbook as thick as a phone book. "This is the algorithm," he said, his voice cold and flat. "You will be at this spot on the floor at 8.2 seconds. You will set a screen here. You will pass here. You are a cog. Be a cog." But Luis wasn't a cog. In drills, when the play demanded he pass to the left, he'd see a defender overplaying him and throw a no-look, behind-the-back pass to a wide-open cutter on the right. His teammates would cheer. Donovan would blow his whistle, his face turning purple. "Reyes!" he would scream, the entire gym falling silent. "What was that?" Luis would look at him confused, his English still heavily accented. "Coach? The man was open. It was a good pass." "I don't pay you to find the open man," Donovan would roar. "I pay you to execute the algorithm. The system finds the open man, not you. You are not a playmaker. You are a part-time role player. Run the play, run the play, or you will never see the floor." The other players, led by the MVP Marcus Apex Thorne, respected the coach. The algorithm worked. It had won them championships. They were a well-oiled machine, and Luis was a piece of sand in the gears. Thorne, a brilliant student of the system, tried to mentor him. "Just do what he says, Lolo," he'd say, using the friendly nickname the team gave him. "The system works. Just trust it. Stop, doing that." "Doing what?" Luis would ask. The fakes, the half-spins, the weird floaters. This isn't the barangay court." Luis's smile would fade. He was trying, but his body, his mind, his very soul was hardwired for the Diskarte of Manila basketball. He was trained to be creative, to be unpredictable, to find a way to win when there was no system. He was benched. For 82 games, he barely played, only getting garbage time minutes when the game was already decided. The press began to mock him. The sports shows called him the human victory cigar, or Donovan's Filipino lapdog. It was the Puso press conference that truly broke him. A reporter asked, "Coach, why isn't Reyes playing more?" Donovan smirked, a cruel, cold expression. "Luis is a novelty. He's got some local talent. But this is the NBA, that flashy Puso. It's just streetball. It doesn't win championships. Our system does. He's not ready." Back in the Philippines, that clip went viral. It was a national insult. Puso was their identity. Donovan had spat on it. Luis watched the clip in his hotel room, his phone exploding with messages of anger and shame from home. He wanted to quit. He wanted to fly home to Aklan. But he thought of his father, a fisherman, who had sold his banca, boat, just to buy him his first pair of real basketball shoes. He thought of his mother. He thought of that Ligang Labas court. He didn't say a word. He just went to the gym, in the middle of the night, and practiced. He didn't just practice his streetball moves. He practiced the algorithm. He practiced until his hands bled. He thought, if I cannot beat his system, I will master it. And when he's not looking, I will use my way. He learned every single play. He learned every cog's position. He learned the why behind Donovan's data. And then he waited. The playoffs began. The Chicago Storm dominated just as the algorithm predicted. They swept the first round. They won the second in 5. Marcus Thorne was a god, a perfect engine in a perfect machine. Luis never took off his warm-up jacket. Then came the NBA Finals, Game 7. They were facing the New York Sentinels, a brutal defensive team coached by a man who had been Donovan's assistant for 10 years. A man who knew the algorithm better than anyone. From the first whistle, it was a war. The Sentinels didn't just play defense, they suffocated the Storm. They knew every play before it happened. They double-teamed Thorne, not where he was, but where the algorithm told him to go. They cut off the passing lanes. They broke the machine. Marcus Thorne was 5 for 20. He was exhausted, frustrated, and being taunted. The perfect system was being dismantled piece by piece on national television. Coach Donovan was on the sideline, his face pale, frantically drawing on his whiteboard, but he had no answers. His data had failed him. He was out of timeouts. He looked down his bench. His star players were gassed. His reliable role players were terrified. And then there was Luis at the end of the bench. He wasn't scared. He was watching, he was analyzing, he saw the traps. He saw the suffocating defense. He had been playing against this his whole life in Manila. This wasn't data. This was a street fight. He knew exactly what to do. 20 seconds left. Storm down by 1. Marcus Thorne turns the ball over. A foul. The Sentinels are at the free throw line. They miss the second shot. The Storm get the rebound. Donovan, in pure cold panic, his legacy crumbling, calls his last timeout. The huddle is silent. Thorne is doubled over, gasping for air. "I can't get free, coach," he wheezes. "They're everywhere." Donovan looks at his clipboard. His mind is blank. His system is dead. He looks up, and his eyes scan the bench. He locks eyes with Luis, the 12th man, the gimmick. Luis just looks back at him, calm, ready. Donovan, in a move that would be analyzed for decades, does the unthinkable. He doesn't say a word. He just points, his hand shaking. "Reyes, get in for Thorne." The stadium is confused. The commentators are screaming. "What is this? This is desperation. The coach is putting in the 12th man. He's waving the white flag." Luis walks to the scorer's table. He taps Thorne, who looks at him in shock. "Rest, Apex," Luis says, his voice perfectly calm. "Ako na bahala. I got this." He steps onto the court. 10 seconds left. The Sentinels' top defender, a 7-foot monster, smirks. "It's the Filipino kid. It's Christmas. Eat him alive." The whistle blows. The ball is inbounded to Luis. "Run the system!" Donovan screams from the sideline, a reflex. "Run the algorithm!" Luis catches the ball. He looks at his coach. He nods. And then, He disobeys him completely. He doesn't run the algorithm. He runs the streets of Manila. He holds the ball, just for a second, letting the defender get set. Then he starts. A crossover so fast it's a blur, a sham god, a behind-the-back fake that sends the defender's ankles spinning. The defender, trained for weeks to analyze the cold, perfect data of the algorithm, has no data for this. He is utterly, completely lost. Luis explodes into the lane. The entire Sentinels team collapses on him. He's trapped. 4 bodies are in the air. This is where the algorithm says to pass. This is where the data says to panic. This is where Luis Reyes is home. He jumps, but he doesn't pass. He doesn't shoot. He fakes. In midair, he fakes a pass, causing 2 defenders to jump past him. He twists and finds a wide-open teammate in the corner, but the pass is blocked. The lane is closed. There are 3 seconds left. Luis lands. He pivots. He's trapped. 2 defenders are on him. This is it. This is the end. And then he smiles. He does a move. A move he learned on a barangay court when he was 12. A Lolo move. A hesitation, a pivot, a shoulder fake, and a spin. He spins between the 2 defenders, splitting them. He's free. 1 second left. He's too far under the basket. He can't dunk it, he can't lay it up, so he just throws it. A wild, off-balance, one-handed teardrop floater. A prayer. A shot he's practiced 10,000 times in the dark. The buzzer sounds while the ball is still in the air. The arena is silent. The ball hangs at the apex and falls through the net. Swish. The game is over. The Chicago Storm have won the NBA championship. The stadium erupts. His teammates are screaming. They are piling on top of him. Luis is at the bottom, his eyes closed, pointing to the sky. Marcus Thorne is the first to get to him, lifting him in the air, tears streaming down his face. "You did it, Lolo. I don't know how, but you did it." Luis, his championship hat already on, looks for his coach. Greg, the architect. Donovan is just standing by the bench, his clipboard shattered on the floor. He's not cheering. His face is in his hands. He's not angry. He's crying. Luis walks over to him through the confetti. Donovan looks up, his eyes red. I didn't have a play for that," he whispers, his voice broken. "My data, it didn't have an answer. How did you know to do that?" Luis smiles. That same calm Diskarte smile. "It's okay, coach, it's not in the data." He taps his chest. "It's Puso." Donovan stares at him for a long second, and then the greatest, most arrogant basketball mind on earth pulls his 12th man into a hug. "Thank you," he whispers, his voice cracking. "Thank you for saving me." In the press conference after, a reporter asks, "Coach, what play was that at the end? Was that a broken algorithm?" Greg Donovan, his championship hat on, puts his arm around Luis Reyes. He looks at the camera. "No," he says. "The algorithm was broken. That was just brilliant. That was Puso, and I've never seen anything like it." The architect had built a perfect system, but it was the primitive Filipino heart that had made it immortal. Donovan had finally learned what every Filipino already knew. You can't win on data alone. You need Puso.